Maple Ridge wasn't the kind of town that made headlines. Nestled between rolling hills and a winding river in upstate New York, life moved at a pace that let you notice the changing colors of the leaves, the smell of fresh bread from the corner bakery, and the way neighbors waved from their porches. I had lived there my whole life. My name's Emily Harper, and if you'd met me a year ago, you might have thought my life was ordinary in the best possible way. I had a steady job at the elementary school as an office secretary, a modest two-bedroom house with peeling white paint, and most importantly, my 8-year-old son Jack. Jack had the kind of energy that could light up a room, and a curiosity that sometimes tested my patience. His laughter was my favorite sound, and every night we had the same routine. Homework at the kitchen table, grilled cheese or spaghetti for dinner, then reading a chapter of the Boxcar Children before bed. Back then, I thought the hardest part of my life was making sure the bills were paid on time. I had no idea how quickly everything could change. It happened on a Thursday afternoon in early March. The office phone rang just after the last bell had sent students spilling into the hallways. I recognized the number, the school district's central office. "Emily, I'm afraid we have to let you go," the voice on the other end said. At first, I thought I'd misheard. What? Budget cuts, my supervisor explained, her tone flat but not unkind. "We're eliminating several positions, including yours. You'll receive 2 weeks severance." 2 weeks, that was all. I hung up the phone, staring at the desk I'd kept organized for years. The pens lined up, the neat stacks of permission slips, the framed picture of Jack in his Halloween pirate costume. My hands were shaking. That night, I sat across from Jack at the dinner table, forcing a smile. I didn't tell him the news yet. He was too busy telling me about the science project he was excited to start. But when he was asleep, I sat on the couch with my laptop, staring at job listings. Most of them required degrees I didn't have or offered paychecks that wouldn't cover the mortgage. I called my best friend Megan, who lived across town. "You'll figure it out," she said. "You always do." Her faith in me was comforting, but as I stared at the dwindling number in my bank account, I wasn't so sure. Weeks passed. I applied for every job I could find: cashier, receptionist, part-time clerk at the hardware store. I managed to get a few interviews, but each one ended with the same polite smile. "We'll be in touch." They never were. I sold my grandmother's antique dresser to pay the utility bill. I skipped meals so Jack wouldn't have to. The house felt colder, not just because we kept the heat low, but because fear had crept into every corner. One evening, Jack caught me staring blankly at the stack of unpaid bills. "It's okay, Mom," he said quietly. "We'll be okay." I hugged him tightly, wishing I believed him. It was a Saturday morning when I saw the flyer taped to the library door. Community center hiring, part-time program assistant. The pay was low, but it was something. I went straight to the center, resume in hand. The director, Mr. Lewis, was a kind man in his 60s with laugh lines around his eyes. "We need someone to help organize after-school programs," he explained. "You'd be working with kids, planning activities, keeping things running smoothly." "I can do that," I said without hesitation. He hired me on the spot. The community center became our second home. Jack loved tagging along after school, helping me set up art supplies or basketballs. The work wasn't glamorous, but it kept us afloat, and it connected me to people I might never have met otherwise. Single parents juggling 2 jobs, retirees volunteering their time, teenagers looking for a safe place to hang out. One evening, after the kids had gone home, Mr. Lewis said, "You're good at this, Emily. You've got a way of making people feel like they belong." I went home that night feeling something I hadn't in months: hope. In April, the center hosted a small fundraiser. We barely made enough to cover costs, and I could see the worry in Mr. Lewis's eyes. Without more funding, the after-school programs might be cut. That night, an idea hit me. What if we organized a town-wide festival? Not just a bake sale, but music, games, food trucks, and craft booths. Something big enough to draw people from neighboring towns. When I pitched the idea to Mr. Lewis, he hesitated. "That's a lot to take on." "I know," I said, "but I think we can do it. And I'll lead the charge." The next 2 months were a whirlwind. I recruited volunteers, secured permits, and convinced local businesses to sponsor the event. Jack became my little assistant, handing out flyers and helping paint signs. Megan donated her famous chili for the food contest. the high school band agreed to perform. It was exhausting. There were nights I fell asleep at the kitchen table with lists still unfinished. But for the first time since losing my job, I felt like I was building something instead of watching things fall apart. The morning of the festival dawned bright and clear. The town square was alive with color. Tents, balloons, the smell of popcorn and barbecue in the air. People came from miles away. Kids ran from booth to booth. Parents laughed over plates of food, and music filled the air. I watched the donation jars fill faster than I'd dared to hope. And by the end of the day, we'd raised enough to keep the programs running for another year. And then some. It wasn't just the money, it was the way the community came together. Neighbors helping neighbors, strangers becoming friends. Mr. Lewis pulled me aside as the sun set. "Emily, you saved this place," he said. I shook my head. We all did. But deep down, I knew this was more than a job now, it was a calling. Months later, I was promoted to full-time program coordinator. The pay still wasn't huge, but it was steady and I loved the work. Jack thrived too. He joined the center's soccer team and made new friends. One evening, as we walked home together, he said, "You're really good at making things happen, Mom." I smiled. I guess when life tests you, you just have to find a way to pass. Looking back, losing my job felt like the end of the world, but it was really the start of a new chapter. One that showed me just how strong I could be, and how much a community can lift each other up. Life will test you, sometimes it will knock the wind out of you. But if you keep standing, keep moving, and keep believing, you might just find that the test is what shapes you into who you're meant to be.